The Nintendo Switch has been selling quite well for almost 3.5 years now, becoming one of Nintendo's fastest selling consoles of all time. In September of last year, Nintendo released their smaller version of the Nintendo Switch, the Nintendo Switch Lite. What's different? Is it better? And if so, why? And why would I buy a Switch Lite over a regular Switch? Of course, the answer depends on your perspective, but in today's video I wanted to go over both since I recently got a chance to play with and look at a Nintendo Switch Lite. I've had this one for over 3 years now, but I never actually had or really got to use a Nintendo Switch Lite till recently. So I figured I would help you, if you need to, decide whether you should get one of these bad boys or you get the newer Nintendo Switch Lite. I'm Callum from CIR Inventions, and this is Switch versus Switch Lite. While I was on vacation the last couple of weeks in Michigan, I got to visit with my younger cousins a lot, and they both had their own Nintendo Switch Lite. I got to feel about how big it was, play with it a bit, see how it felt, and overall I liked it. But there are 4 major differences that I noticed almost right away whenever I was using the Nintendo Switch Lite versus this Switch, which I've had for quite a while now. First, the Switch Lite does not have detachable Joy-Cons like, of course, your regular Switch. 2, the Switch Lite is smaller. Obviously, but the difference is quite noticeable, going from a 6.2 inch screen to a 5.5 inch screen on the Lite. The Switch Lite does not have a kickstand like the original does, which is a bit of a bummer in my opinion. And finally, whenever you actually get the box, you'll notice that the Switch Lite just doesn't come with as much stuff. Now, this should be a given considering one more point that I'm going to come up with in just a second, but it does not come with a dock and it doesn't come with a bunch of extra stuff. Pretty much in the box you get the Switch itself and a charger. There's also one other major difference that you wouldn't really be able to notice right away when comparing the Switch and the Switch Lite, and the Switch Lite cannot be docked and put onto a bigger screen like, of course, the Switch can. Which, in my opinion, is a huge downside. I understand that the Lite is made for portable gaming, so it's a more portable console, and therefore it doesn't have the need to be put onto the TV, but I feel like this is just a huge downgrade to the original Switch. Oh, and there's a pretty big difference in price. That's the last thing I want to talk about. The original Switch is still going for about $300, although you can find a couple cheaper for $270, $250 if you get lucky. And the Switch Lite comes in at about $200, but I think on the resale market it's a little bit more expensive. Otherwise, the consoles are pretty much the exact same. They both still have the SD card slot, they both have the headphone jack, and you can connect outside controllers. So if I have a Pro controller, which I do, and I wanted to connect it to a Switch Lite, I could. Although, since you can't really play tabletop because you don't have a kickstand, that's not exactly the best thing. I mean, you can connect it if you want, it's just not exactly the most functional. So after knowing the main differences between the Switch and the Switch Lite, which one is better? Well, obviously, like I said earlier, it depends on who you are and what you want to do with your Switch. Maybe if you have children, or you're somebody who just isn't gonna use a dock and then use the Switch on the TV a lot, then obviously going with the Switch Lite is better, because why pay an extra $100 for a feature you'll never use? On the other hand, a Switch is bigger, so for a young adult like me with fairly big hands, this controller and the Pro controller are a whole lot better than the little Switch Lite. Now, the Switch Lite didn't feel too bad when I was using it, but it also didn't feel that big. That's why I like the Pro controller so much. If you want to see my review on that, click over here. Now, which one is better overall? Now, let me be honest, the original Switch is just way better overall. The features that they take away for the Switch Lite is just a huge downgrade. The entire point of the Switch is just kind of taken away. It's turned more into a PlayStation Portable, which I guess isn't bad, but it's not a Switch, it's a PSP. So unless you're traveling a lot or you just don't need all the functions of the normal Switch, I would recommend going with the original Switch instead of the Switch Lite. Now, of course, if you're really pinching for pennies, then Switch Lite. But like I said, both of them are good. They both have their perks and they both have their uses. But in my opinion, the original Switch is just a much better console overall. Thank you guys so much for watching. We are getting very close to 1,000 subscribers, so if you would like to subscribe, please do so. We are very close to hitting it, and I really don't want to wait any longer for monetization. But yeah, it's been quite the ride getting up to 1,000 subscribers, and we're so close, and if you would like to subscribe and help us get there ever so much faster, it would be highly appreciated. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. I'm Callum from CIR Inventions, and I will see you in the next video.